Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Ironwoman. We only a special guest. Today we go to Malia. We actually want to say thank you to Danielle and Ed Snaps who brought us together and thought like Malia has an interesting story. So we meet somebody who was born in Hawaii. When do we ever meet a person who was born in Hawaii? But Malia, share your story.
I was born in Hawaii. I'm born to Polynesian parents. My mom is from Hawaii and she's Hawaiian Portuguese. And that lineage is really interesting because her maiden name is Kamaeopili. So it goes back a few generations. And it's my great grandfather was a really famous priest there on Hawaiian homestead. And by marriage, I'm related to Queen Liliuokalani, who is the last reigning monarch of Hawaii, a wonderful, great woman. I'm very proud of my lineage in general, but very proud of that connection. When she was 17, married my dad, who is from Samoa and carries my last name, Faleafine, and he is from Ili'ili, American Samoa. I am not 100% on that lineage, but it is like a chief family of sorts and landowners and whatnot. So I know we're a very proud family. My grandma had 12 or 13 kids, so we have a really large family. Very loud and boisterous, but also I would say very intelligent and just loving. I was born in Hawaii, but my parents were so young that when they got divorced right away after I was born, I have an older brother, but my brother and I, as they were going through that long divorce, spent a couple of years living in Samoa. And we were raised by my paternal grandmother, paternal grandfather, and aunts and cousins and everyone who was there, because that is how Polynesian communities work. They really raise the community raises the children.
We have even a royal family here. When do we have that ever on the podcast? And we all know like things can happen and we move around, but also to look back where your family is coming from is so cool to investigate.
I know that whole nurture versus nature kind of debate as well, because sometimes my family is so big, especially on my dad's side, from my grandma, like just cousins and aunts and uncles, it's 90 of us. Yeah. When we went to a reunion, and that is not the whole widespread thing. And so when we meet each other, it's almost like this chemistry of just like, oh, you get my humor and we're just so connected, even though maybe we've had different lives. But there is a common thread, specifically on my dad's side, my Samoan side, which is that my grandmother and grandfather, they moved to Hawaii and to give my uncles and aunts like a better shot at life and really get them to college, a lot of scholarships, wanted me to follow my Aunt Lydia's footsteps, who went to Yale at 16. They really gave my uncles and aunts like a leg up, because in Samoa, it's so small. My village is only 3,000 people. Where are the opportunities going to come from? They moved to Hawaii. And growing up in Hawaii, I wanted to get out there and have an opportunity to move to the mainland, which are the continental states. And my dad, when they had got through the divorce, actually moved to California. And that allowed me to now go visit him. And he was set up financially. He was a cop for many years in law enforcement. That allowed me to even explore further and pursue my dreams outside of what I considered small, which was Hawaii.
It's very interesting. It feels like we have similar stories in a way. When you grow up in a smaller place, what do you do? It seems like you're curious, you want to learn, you want to explore the world. Then you have to move. You cannot stay there.
Yeah, it's true. And it's also perplexing I compare living in Hawaii to a small town, even though I don't know what it's like to live in a small town in the middle of America. But I'll speak from Hawaii point of view. I know a lot of people who left for college maybe, but go back right away because there's such wonderful values that you find in Hawaii, like so much compassion, so much caring, and this sense of community and culture that you cannot find anywhere else. Plus the food's amazing, like best food in the world. So
We need to know, what is the food? Fish or
traditional Hawaiian cuisine, which yes, is a lot of fish, poi, which is a taro root, a pig, roasted pig, all of those things. But on top of that, what I find beautiful about Hawaii is what we call local culture, which blends a lot of Asian cultures, Hawaiian cooking, blending all of those cultures in the way that we cook and eat. And it just brings this magic out in the food. So it-
how is it to live in Samoa? How is life there and what food do you eat there?
well, I was so young when I was living there, but I have vague, really like distinct memories. It is very calm and it is a very beautiful place. It is very, very green and lush. When you think of beaches, some Samoa beaches, their waves are like their people, just thick, like very thick ocean. It's very different than in Hawaii beaches. You have a lot of reef, which is really cool. It is such a country lifestyle. So if someone said like, you live a country life, that's how I would imagine like Samoan life living. They're traditional houses. We don't all live in huts, but there are huts when I was living there. So, and families tend to live together in the same house or on the same property. Growing up, we also had our own animals. I had pig that they did eat without telling me. It's a running joke in my family. They're like, that was her pet. And we had the tree house. Literally, my uncles and cousins would climb the coconut tree, throw down the coconuts, trim the bananas. We eat a lot of bananas. They're very similar to me, Latin plátanos, a little bit more drier than I think you would think of an American banana and not as sweet. And so they cook it a lot with coconut milk and onions. That's one of my favorite dishes. A lot of fish as well. I feel like I eat a lot of onions there, but in their cooking and like stewed stuff, it's really, really good. Palu, and then there's, I guess, more modern, what we call palu sami, which is like a corned beef, I would say. I would compare it to something like that. But it's delicious. Again, it's very rich and full. When you take a bite of Samoan food, it just reminds me of our people. It gives you a lot of pleasure and it's just like so filling.
I love that comparison. The waves and the food are thick, like the generosity of the people.
You will not go hungry in Samoa. People are very compassionate and will give you food. They will take care of you. And that is a beautiful community there. And I only now they really even just their buildings only started to have like taller buildings. Cause I remember a family member coming to visit Hawaii and they were blown away by the tall buildings there. And I was like, oh yeah, because where we are, there's maybe 2, 3 levels or just one.
Where are you today? Let's look into the future, but thinking with that small place, small island on your mind.
Yeah. So small place, small island. And then I went to live with my dad when I was in high school in the Bay Area, California. So San Francisco, Oakland. And I, of course, really loved it. But my dad, he lived in the suburbs. So it was a little bit slower. And so I was itching, always trying to get to San Francisco, sneaking out with some of my friends because I wanted I wanted something big. And I eventually moved to New York City. I knew since I was a little girl, I was going to move to New York City. That's the world to me. I want to travel and I definitely want to live in New York City. It's kind of funny because I took a sabbatical last year. I came back to my husband's small town. He's from Dominican Republic and we have a house out here. And so I feel like I'm back in a small town and we are eager which is great, take a slow beat and get some perspective in life. I definitely like the bigger, the bigger cities.
It's in a way interesting that we come from a small town and we're kind of like enamored with the bigger city, and people are like, how can you be like, New York is such a crazy place? But maybe because it's so crazy, we come from a smaller pace. We're ready for that.
It is that you're ready to get out there, and there's so much opportunity in bigger cities. And it is about finding that balance, because places like San Francisco, New York City, and other major cities, you're finding people who are thinking really big and to change the world and do big things. That is one option of life. The other option of life, which we have experienced in our younger years, is this life where that is simple and precious and just existing in this contentment where what is in front of you is enough and they're finding happiness. And for me, that wasn't enough. And I wasn't going to find happiness there. I was one that needed to choose the other life. And I've learned over the years that people throw harsh criticism no matter which life you choose. The ultimate thing is you make a choice and you live with it, and you can appreciate both sides of the coin. And that's where we can find a lot of compromise and happiness. I appreciate where I come from, those places that I've come from, and like the community I was given, and it allows me to go forth in these crazy places, being grounded and going after ideas, thinking big, exploring how to actually bring art or ideas back to places where people have no access. I'm lucky that I got to leave Hawaii, because financially, that is really difficult. It's so expensive to live in Hawaii and Samoa. It's almost $1,000 one way to leave Samoa, and it's a 9-hour flight. What if you're not making that much money in Samoa, like a family? How can you afford that? Not to mention, thankfully, people have families, but not to mention that a hotel room can run you about $300 a night for a nice hotel room in Hawaii. And then in the mainland, it's the same way. I feel very lucky that I have had access to be able to come out of that small town. And I would like to be able to bring that access to other people who still live in small towns, who still live in island homes, who do want to explore and who do want to make that choice. And I also think, going back to my family who gave people opportunities, like my grandparents giving my parents opportunities to have a choice, I felt like my parents gave me a choice. God knows they weren't perfect, but what they did was give me a choice. I want to be able to expand myself as well. That's how I looked at it. My brothers and sisters, I have 7 of them. They made different choices. I feel responsible for. If someone gives you a leg up, that you should take it. And that's how I view it.
I love the way you say a leg. And you have to grasp it. You were offered the opportunity to move away, but some people decide not, and they're happy. And we shouldn't judge those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. I love when my siblings, there's a 9-year age gap between me and the second sets. Because I had opportunity to make more money in the cities, I could say, hey, let me buy your plane ticket so you get exposure. You can stay with me. And as a big sister, it gave me so much joy to be able to offer that.
Do they live in Hawaii or Samoa, or where do your brothers and sisters live now?
Yeah, from my dad's second marriage, they live in California in the Bay Area. I have a sister that lives in Hawaii, and I have a sister who lives in Germany. She met her husband in Hawaii, and he happened to be an international basketball player. So she's been in Europe following his career.
In a way, when you are such a blended family and you move around, this is when you meet more people who are like you. On your resume, it says you're a fractional COO. What can we understand? What is that?
I'm a founder of Social Reverie Consulting. We do fractional chief operating officer services. Basically, I provide the service to, depending on the size of the organization, but it's like a jack of all trades to run your day-to-day operations for startups, or to set the foundation for startups so that they can grow. A lot of times, entrepreneurs have a great idea, and so they really know how to put it together and start selling a product. But when comes time to grow, they need somebody to come in and say, like, hey, let's set up your payroll. Let's get you certain consultants in. You need a technology structure. So really giving them structure to function day to day so that they can take their business to the next level. When I work with larger organizations, I create change by implementing their strategic plan. I lead cross-functionally. We cover a wide wide range of industries, and we have a deep understanding of how to pull teams together. We're cross-functional leaders. And I tell my clients, like, engage on a project to like get it modeled on how it should look like. When you decide to put a permanent COO in that position, what it should look like and feel like. A lot of startups and inspiring executives who have these really great ideas, big thinkers, right? They like to just spout things out and then they turn around like, who's doing it? And so I love to come in and be like, I'll help you do it. That's my job. I'll help implement. And that's so spout those ideas. I'll curve you and tell you have to do it in phases, but I'll help you implement.
We need more of you, I think. And one last question. So what do you do when you don't work? It seems like you're traveling, you're working.
So many things. I like to read. I like to watch trash TV, like The Real Housewives. I shouldn't call it trash. With my dog, Keanu. He loves it. We watch that. And I really like to explore virtual reality. I think it's such a cool platform. So I do play games in there and try to explore a lot of offerings in there.
Thank you for giving us a glimpse into your life and also in your Hawaiian Samoa life. We've never had a person like that on our podcast. So thank you so much and good luck with your virtual reality playing. What a cool story. Hawaii, Samoa. What are you taking away from this episode? Take it from the Ironwoman. We have episodes every Monday with really cool people from around the world, from around the globe, and you can learn with them. And Take It from the Ironwoman is also the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it or get it in your local bookstore. Support female-owned enterprises. Thank you so much and like us on your preferred podcast platform. See you next time and bye-bye.